I'd like to call the meeting to order. The Board of Leavenworth County Commissioners. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to begin with a moment of silence. And we'll start with roll call. We'll start with Mike Stevens. Here. Doug Smith is present. Vicki Cos.
Here.
3 commissioners are present today. Jeff Culverson and Chad Shimke are at the National Association of Counties League Legislative Conference, and they're in Washington, D.C. They'll return next week. I want to thank them for taking time to go to that. We'll open up our public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name at this time.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Couture. I'm a representative of the public that uses the Council on Aging facilities. I have been using their programs for the last 4 to 5 years. And we would like to urge the commissioners to please reconsider the use of the Medical Arts Building. We need a facility that has adequate parking, that allows for lots of traffic in and out, because we also have the Meals on Wheels programs and other programs that go on during the day. The Medical Arts Building, I'm not sure, has the adequate kitchen facilities, the meeting rooms, a big enough gym to accommodate some of our growing classes. We are wondering if maybe you could consider other facilities in the city, such as churches that may have empty buildings. I'm not sure if there's something available downtown. We recognize that you have budget concerns and that there are lots of repairs that are needed to our current building. So please research other facilities. And I'm hoping maybe some of our people might have some ideas that they can share with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in public comment?
Hello, my name is Rob Williams, 12151 DeSoto Road in Linwood, Kansas. And I'd like to speak on the sand quarry proposal from the NAPE. I'd like to have some questions here I'd like to pass around. I drove over to the Holiday Sand Quarry at 7 Highway and 43rd Street, and I can't imagine that the NAPE quarry would be much different. The trucks seem to be nonstop. The idea of 80 trucks a day, I don't know if that's just Caw Valley trucks, or if there's other trucks that's going to be involved, like other companies. I know many companies have subsidiary companies. I worked for a contractor who had several companies within his, under his control. The trucks, there's a lot more than 80 trucks a day going through that area. And it's really kind of concerning, because the road at 43rd Street that goes into Holiday, those roads are just horrible. They're paved, but they're potholes. They're just torn up like they would be from heavy trucks running over them. That's normal. The thing about Holiday is it's away from public view. It's kind of hidden back. Where they're going to put this, the NAPE sand quarry is right in a well-traveled area. Very unsightly. I don't see how it could be compatible with anything in that area. We have a golf course just over up by the river. There's houses. It's just definitely an industrial area, and I just don't think that we really want to make that part of our county so undesirable. They state that they will operate 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, 12 hours of noise and dust. I don't know if other company trucks will be allowed to operate during the 12 hours or if they will be restricted to 8. These are things that we need to find out. When the train blocks 161st Street Railroad Crossing, will the trucks just simply go around to 166? Anytime you have sand trucks, get sand. And if you drive into Holiday, those roads are covered with sand. I at one time thought it would be dangerous for cyclists. I don't think that now. I think it would be impossible. I cycle thousands of miles. I would never get on a road bike and cycle on a road with sand all over it. It would be pretty much impossible to stay upright. So I just ask that you consider these things, and that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good morning, and thank you for allowing us to have this forum. My name is Tamara Carson, formerly Tamara Edwards, so I grew up here in Leavenworth. And recently, I have been more actively involved in my mother's activities. I'm not going to mention her age, but there are a lot of wonderful people in this group that participate in weekly classes, and they're organized through the Council on Aging. They have allowed these large classrooms to have about no less than 14 people in the hall. I think it is imperative that you consider the fact that these people are doing more than just giving little exercise classes. There is such a socialization unit in it. Everyone checks in with everyone for their emotional and mental and physical health. So I have been absolutely in awe of what Leavenworth does for these senior citizens, and we want them to stay in their home. We don't want to have to put people in nursing homes that don't belong there. These are all very intelligent and bright people. They're working on their bodies, and I promise you, I was absolutely exhausted after the first Vita-Band class. These women work for an hour and a half, and I dare any one of you to come and join that class. My point is, please consider all the wonderful other activities. I know my mom is going to be going to Kansas City to see the con, Genghis Khan. So they offer all these things. I used to not be able to get as involved. I took early retirement, and I'm really blown away with how many events they're able to do. Most of the children of these people don't live in town, or they have jobs that won't afford them to do this. So that the Council on Aging has really filled a huge supportive niche. Please consider involving them a lot in whatever building you get. So thank you very much.
And this board supports Council on Aging very well. I think since I've been here, how much has the budget increased? 30%?
Well, in the last 4 years, we've increased spending on the Council on Aging by 34%.
34%.
We've replaced begin to replace an aging fleet. Just since 2017, we started a fleet
adding new
program.
vehicles out there. We support Council on Aging very well. I don't want us to paint that.
Yay.
And
Thank you. I am not coming after you.
All right. Well, some of your comments made it sound like we weren't supporting Council on Aging, and we support Council on Aging.
And I want you to know how wonderful it is. I live in Parkville, and I don't see that there. I don't see it. I don't see the ease in which people are there. So my point is, wherever you decide to move, please make sure that it continues on the great programming that we already have here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Frank Gilbert. I came up here about a month ago and discussed taxes. I've not heard anything about that, but you asked me a question when I was here last time. What do we do when we run out of money? And I didn't have an answer, but I started thinking about that. And now I do. One for you to consider. You have department heads, managers. Those people are tasked to live within their means. That's part of their job. So they submit a budget to you through a budget call process, then they should live with that budget. It's up to you people, the commissioner, to determine if what they're submitting to you for a budget is fair and equitable.
Have you been following anything going on in the legislature right now?
No.
There's is it Senate Bill 294 that I believe passed the Senate? It's about property tax. So I believe it would be, without getting into, I don't have the bill in front of me, it's about your budgets are going to have to remain the same, the amount of money, unless we hold public hearings and do different things. But
And a lot of transparency in the
the
budget
legislature's working on property tax.
Well, that's fine, and I'm glad to hear that. But if you're doing it the way you have it set up now, it's just housing goes up 10%, we get a 10% increase. You don't have to go through a hearing on that. Then,
well, we're still under the tax lid. We would have to anything above the rate of inflation, we'd have to go out for a vote if we wanted to raise. What is the limit on the tax lid?
Only thing we're allowed to utilize is new construction, and then the cost of inflation. Anything above that would require an election.
It would require an election.
is that the way it was before?
That's the way it's been for
since 16.
Now it's
3 to 4 years.
10% increase last year.
I think a lot of people don't understand that the local government entities that are under the tax lid is like the county and the cities, and that constitutes about between 35 and 45 cents of your taxes. But the largest entity of local government that taxes the citizens is a school district, and they are not under the lid. So while we're trying to hold the line on the taxes and the spending, and I guarantee you that it's a very fine-tooth process when we go through it, you should also be addressing, in addition to us, you should be going to your local school district, and because they have more impact, typically 40 cents on a dollar for your taxes. So I think that's something we've been trying to educate people on, and they're not under the lid, and we have no control over that part of your taxes going up.
But we're going to get the same thing. They're going to get up and say, well, we got to have these new schools. But yet when they wanted to bring in industry to Tonganoxie, it ran out of town. They didn't want the riffraff that followed it in there. But if they would have done that, the increased population would have gave them more money than they know what to do with.
So, Mr. Gilbert, you're in the Tonganoxie School District?
Yes, I am.
So you got a new bond coming next year.
Yeah, I know. And it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
And, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's got to start somewhere. And
We're doing our best.
I would invite you and anyone else, as we begin the process of the budget hearings and looking at the budget and putting it together, those are all public meetings. And I would encourage you to attend and to listen and, to kind of be more circumspect as to where you feel as a taxpayer would be good places to cut. I'm just saying that's what we do. I'm just saying just to get some input into where you feel there's waste, and then we might be able to look at that and say, hey, that could be correct.
And what I'm saying is that you took, over the last 3 years, you took a 30% increase, roughly. It might be a percent off there, but round figures is 30% over the last 3 years. Now, half of that went to the school. Okay, I'll give you 50% of it goes to the school, but still 50% here. And you should have took it averaged out to 2.1% instead of 29%. I didn't see anybody taking a hit to get there. It was just, this is what the law reads. It says that we get a mill levy based upon the property value.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Thanks. We're trying.
My name is Greta Aikman, and I'm here on behalf of the Council on Aging. And I think that you all probably think that they just take care of us old women. But now that couples retire, couples are coming. Single men are coming. And if you go to this new building, there will not be enough room for what we call leisure and learning. And I have the statistics. Last year, there was 9,537 participants in the leisure and learning sessions. You all are supposed to be good negotiators. So why can't you go and negotiate with Mrs. Davis, who was supposed to be a business lady, could she be able to negotiate? So I think before you make decisions, maybe you should go to the taxpayers, because you're talking about the taxes and the money putting out. But have you asked the taxpayers if they're interested in you all moving to a small facility where these people will not be able to come, will not be able to do what they do now, and ruin their life, because most of these people live in Leavenworth. Some don't have transportation. This is the only place for them to go to enjoy the day, get out of the house, away from TV, think of their health, and say hi to their fellow neighbor, hi to the person across the street, hi, and learn to make new friends. And as you can tell here, we all have friends, and believe me, there's more. So I wish that you really would consider, if you can't make a decision, 5 people, go to the taxpayers and ask them what they want. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Cindy Grisham, and I feel a little ignorant being up here because I just found out about this, and I'd like to know where I can find out information about what the plans are. But the main reason I'm here is because I want to be proactive, and I'm concerned about the transportation part of this, because I know a lot of people who are elderly and use that, and especially when I can't drive them around as a friend. And are you planning on getting rid of the transportation?
No.
Okay.
We've increased the transportation and improved it.
Okay, well, that's what I mean. I feel a little dumb being here, but I was thinking that maybe that was going to go away.
No.
And the other thing I'm concerned about in that vein is, why is Leavenworth considered now a suburb of Kansas City, and so our hospitals have been,
Those are decisions that we can't make. That's private industry making decisions about what services they want to provide within our county, and there's really absolutely nothing that any of the governing bodies can do about that. That's a corporate decision, and I think that enough conversation and pressure was put on like Cushing St. Luke's, I think is who you're referring to at this point, that they did make some adjustments in the decisions as to what programs and services they were going to reduce. So there's still an emergency room. They still have a good triage system in place for transporting patients.
right, but for regular doctors.
Well, and there are regular doctor visits that can take place there at the medical facility across, that's right across the street, the pavilion that's right across the street there. But we, as the Board of County Commissioners, we can only control what happens with the county and the county entities.
That's great. I'm glad I got educated on that. I don't want the transportation to go away
It's
from
not.
the elderly and poor. And the other thing, while I'm up here, who is in charge of the homeless shelter?
That is Sister Vicki Perkins, and then she is more of the director of that facility, but they have a board of directors, and it's comprised, most of the people that support that are a large group of churches. So it's
Okay, but who did they have to go through to get that set up?
to
To build the building?
they raised money through their church. The churches put together, and then through businesses and corporations who donated services.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good morning. I'm Mrs. Nancy Carpenter, 14681 Crider Road. I decided to do something out of character this last week, I decided to look over the Lenape Sand Quarry proposal as if I had never read it before, and just kind of see what I would learn. Well, I learned that the size of the lake in the project changes with every document. The Army says 223 acre site. Terra Technologies says 160 acres. The notice of intent says 208.6 will be disturbed. In the narrative, we're going to have a 114 acre lake followed by a 38 acre lake, which is 152. The Army Corps says 188 acre project site, so couldn't really get a grasp on that. So then I tried to look at what time frame we're looking at. Terra Technologies says 15 plus years. The notice of intent says 30 years to the start to finish. Army Corps says 10. The traffic study says 25 or more. So I thought, wow, what do I look at next? So I thought I'd take a look at who's affected, and I found that Mr. Wiggins' property does indeed bump up against the site, and he's not listed in the adjacent landowners. It references that it's along East Wyandotte Street. East Wyandotte Street is a DeSoto Street. 166th is the street that it's up against, so was confused there. Took a look at another place where are there internal roads or not? Terra Technology says yes, but the site plan application says no. So I thought I'd look at the maps. And there is one map, the last map, shows an east end driveway, but then it doesn't go anywhere. If you look at the other maps, there are no other internal roads. So really don't know what that's about. So I thought, well, maybe the roads in the wastewater plan are updated. Maybe those documents are updated. But no, they still have the old maps without the east driveway. So I thought, well, maybe I'll look at the plant operations. Well, no, that still talks about the old route. I'm not sure, am I supposed to look at the latest traffic study and insert the information from that? Or should that be an applicant's problem? Or is that the public's problem? So that was a little frustrating. So then I got wind of a new traffic study dated February 18th that I can't get a hold of. I've asked for it, but I've been told it exists. So I don't know what that's about. So the public isn't finding out about the updates. So I thought, I'll go look at the narratives. Well, there's a narrative from March of 2019. The latest narrative, which is describing the project, is from June of 2019. This is, March of 2020. So the narratives seem as though they would be pretty outdated. There are so many typos in these documents, which, as a former teacher, that kind of irritates me. We know that there are inaccurate information. We talked about that last week with the measurements on the roads. I don't know where the county stands with filing complaints against the engineer, or if the public needs to take care of that. It would seem that all of the documents that the engineer was involved with should be discarded if the information isn't accurate. Very, very frustrating as a first reader of the document. I don't know what the project is, and it didn't seem right to say that till April 15th. I think you guys should be asking, what is this project? Because if you read the spiral-bound book and you look again at the electronic book, you can't tell what the project is. It is all over the place. So those are my concerns. Thought I would go ahead and share them again.
Hey, Nancy, have you typed and summarized all of everything you just said, typed and summarized that?
I will be sending this to you. I just had some little notes.
Because I'd like
this morning.
to have planning and zoning, at least look at
I
that.
guess one of the questions is, why is it that the public is having to do this? Where's the due diligence of the county? That's a frustrating
That's
part.
part of the process, and that's why this process has been a long process, is that we're trying to do it right.
Well, we're coming up on April 15th, and we're still giving all sorts of accommodations to an applicant, and that's...
But if you could summarize that, then
yes,
we could...
I'll get it in the mail this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Beatrice Wardlow. I go by Aunt B. I'm here for the Council of Aging because I learned how to do Tai Chi. My husband is ill, and my outlet is to go to the Council on Aging and do meditation. 1 hour. I don't have to think. I don't have to be a caregiver or anything else. Then I read and looked at my Council on Aging for the March issue of things that were coming up, and I turned it on the back, and it said, well, You can get transportation, you can get exercise, you can get meals, you can get help. You can get help, and that's very important for the Council of Aging. As a person in this community of Leavenworth, I'm very proud of a place that you can go to that they will assist you to be mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy. How many of you go to the Council of Aging and participate in anything?
I've toured the facilities.
What do you do? Do you go and visit and just say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm glad see that you're..."
And I support their fundraisers. I attend.
Other than the fundraisers. I support the fundraiser.
Okay.
Does anybody here go to the Council on Aging to see what they do?
I have toured the facility, and I have been there and visited.
I think we all have, actually. I think all the commissioners have been to the Council on Aging, and Linda's taken us on a tour, and I can tell you that we are all supportive of what's being done. I think the only issue is the issue of the facility, and I can tell you I believe that the commission is committed to having a wonderful facility for you.
And that is appreciated. How many of this crowd use the facilities? Stand up if you're able to, or raise your hand.
Well, I'm sure they do, or they wouldn't be here.
So there you go. Please, whatever you can do to get a building that is maintenance-free of some sort. I know money's tight. Money's not the issue. The health and the well-being of your senior citizens that are taxpayers, that have paid, worked, and worked in this community need your help. So please, don't forget.
And I think you are getting our help with the 34% increase in the budget.
I don't care about the money. I want a building. I want these people to have
It
some
all
place to
revolves
go.
around money.
That's what we're working on.
You know, money, I know you need money, and you've given, and you've raised,
We
and
have.
everything else. I do that every year when I go to church. I tithe
I do
$5
too.
more each time. So if you have given us, we appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. But what I want and what I would like to see is my population taken care of.
And that's what we are committed to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you can tell by how many people have come that when we heard yesterday morning that you might be making a decision about moving the Council on Aging.
Who'd you hear that
this
from?
I was
is
gonna
fine
say, this
because
is-
it's something very, very important to us.
Who did you hear that
Times a
from?
week.
Who did you hear we were going to be making that decision from?
That was from me. I direct the Tai Chi classes on Tuesday mornings, and I told my Tai Chi people, I said, we'd like you to come to the meeting and let the commissioners hear from us individually.
We are making a long-term decision, but it's not a decision that was going to be made today.
Or
Well, I realize that,
We're just looking for buildings.
but we'd like you to look a little longer. There's so many
We're still
problems
looking.
with the 6th Street building that will not work with a bunch of seniors. The Council on Aging helps thousands, literally in Leavenworth, thousands of people, not just Meals on Wheels, not just exercise classes, learning classes, all the activities they have. And we're just concerned about having a decent place.
Okay.
We want to get you a wonderful facility in the constraints of the ability of the taxpayers to fund it. And we're doing our best to find that location, and we're committed to it.
That is
Giving
very
you a
difficult
great
decision,
location.
I realize that. We've had suggestions from people in our group But, well, we could, our Tai Chi class, the advanced classes, at least 30 people. The beginning classes, maybe a dozen. But it's a large room, and we fill it up.
Okay.
And we've been talking about, well, what if we did Tai Chi somewhere else?
You're losing Linda's time. Maybe you should come up to the podium after Linda gets done speaking.
Well, I
Give her more time.
My other people have done such a good job.
Okay.
I think what we want is that when you're considering moving the Council on Aging, that you take into consideration more than just desks and files and staff members. You're moving the
We are.
community, and something that is very important in the community that affects a large part of the population. And we need to be able to have a facility that's accessible and large enough for us to be able to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And we agree.
And we're looking.
Hello, I'm Patty Shirley. I live at 151 158th Street. I'd like to speak real quickly about the Lake Sand Pit Quarry application. And just, I've been reading through the comprehensive document of Leavenworth County, and I really appreciate you allowing the citizen input, and it's been a very interesting read, and I like, where the documents focus. We're reading it through the lens of the upcoming public hearing, the application that is happening in southern Leavenworth County. It seems like there's a disconnect. So while I'm reading it and knowing the possible changes that might happen in my neighborhood, it's been a difficult read. So I just request that you read it with that lens. Imagine you live within 5 miles of that place, and just pick another one.
You said you were on 158th Street?
I am.
And south of 32, K32, you're south of
South,
K32?
right.
Okay. Are you south of Cantrell or
No,
Archer?
I am the first house outside of the Bear Lake subdivision,
Oh, okay. All right. So,
Across from the Kellys.
right across from the Kellys.
all right.
And
Okay.
I drive those roads, and I go to DeSoto to see my son. I, go that way often.
Okay.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in public comment?
Good morning. My name is Joe Grisella, Grasela, and the reason I decided to come up and speak, I was just going to sit quietly, Commissioners, but hearing everyone talking from the Council on Aging, I thought of a perspective that I might want to draw your attention to that I think is very important from my own personal perspective and what I've observed supporting and going to the events at the Council on Aging. I think we've talked very much about events that are there and the people attend and take advantage of them to their benefit. And we are appreciative, as a citizen, I'm appreciative of the funding that you do provide to the Council on Aging. But I think another aspect we need to realize is that we have to look at the fact that many of the people that are sitting here, this affords them an opportunity to give back. Volunteerism. I know particularly one of them that really touches on my heart is around Christmas time. These very people have, when they're at the Council on Aging facility, are packing all sorts of little stockings that are delivered to people who are homebound and, get Meals on Wheels because they can't get out. Just things like that we still feel like even though we're retired or we're elderly or we're infirm in our own way, that we're able to give back to the community, to volunteer. And I think, though, that, again, I know you're supporting us, I know you're looking for a facility, but I think the key issue is some of the size of the rooms. As I mentioned for Tai Chi, for different organizations that we have, by organizations I mean meetings and activities that need a little bit bigger space than a small examining room that you'd have, say, in some sort of medical building or something like that. Again, thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
I think people have kind of a misperception that it's like y'all are talking to us like we're up here and you're over there, But really, I think what we want is to be a team with you to find this new facility that works for you. And that's, I don't think there's any us or them. I think it's together as a community, we want to work together to make this happen, because there are some problems with the existing facility, but we want to get you a great new facility, and we work together as a team. I don't, some of the comments, it seems a little adversarial, and it's not. There's on our tent, there's no adversarial. It's working together as a team.
Why can't you stay where you are?
We don't own the building.
I know you don't own the building. Well, the county used to own the building.
Yeah. Well, we weren't here when it was sold and rented
Why
back.
can't you negotiate with Mrs. Davis now? And stay where you are, where it's already done, it's decorated, everything is in place, and everybody knows where everything is and so forth and so on. So negotiate with her instead of trying to find a new place where we have gone around Leavenworth, most of us, and looked, and there is no nicer place than where we are.
And it may come down to building a new facility.
Well, if you build a new one, then build it kind of like it was.
And then the county would own it. Well, you know, I don't know if we can build them with used roofs or, and some of the materials they used back then, I don't think we can purchase now. So,
but it's all on the table. It's all on the table. We're working together as a team instead of feeling like we're a team with you. We represent you, but we work together.
Well, if you're a team with us, can we vote on it?
Well, kind of.
If all the commissioners was here today, I wouldn't be opposed to discussing a committee to look for buildings, and I'm sure Mr. Forsland would chair that.
And
Didn't mean to put you on the spot, John, but you've done it to me before, so.
Sounds good.
So, like I said, we're looking. That's all we can say. We're looking, and we've also discussed the possibility, not officially discussed it, it's just been some discussion with staff with what the price of a new facility would be to meet the needs of Council on Aging. But we haven't come to any decisions yet. We're looking.
I think it's pretty clear that maybe some misinformation has been given.
Right.
And that is that we've made a decision on another building. That has not happened.
Excuse me.
That has not happened.
My name's Janice.
The other thing is that we would not somehow address the current space needs for the facility. That's exactly what we're trying to do, and nothing could be further from the truth that we don't have a concern for you all having a place to meet. What we're concerned is the current facility has some real issues that we cannot address. We're not the property owner, and that has to be addressed before there ends up to be a system failure there that leaves you homeless. And that's what we are trying to avoid 100%. So we're looking at any options we can come across. That includes the building that you're talking about. We've just started looking at it, so there's no decision that has been made. And we're looking at other opportunities, like the commission chairman has said, in potentially new construction. But whatever it is, whether it's an existing building or a new building, it will for sure address the space needs for the facility, for the people using the facility.
My name is Janice Langham. I'm in charge of the Tai Chi groups that meet on Tuesday mornings. We understand that the commission is trying to find the correct place, finding the correct way to take care of this problem. We are not here as a group to complain to you. We're concerned because it does involve so many people in the community, in the whole county actually. But we didn't want to offend any of you. Mm-hmm. We do want to find out what's going on because we just, it's new to us too. So I'm not a very good speaker.
You did a great job.
You did, yeah, you are.
Well, we're concerned, that's why we are looking. We don't want to see a system, your building fail, and all of a sudden, you have no place.
Yeah.
We're trying to be proactive with this.
We realize that. We just wanted to let you know that we're concerned about this now before any decisions or anything is found out about what's going on.
Well, any decisions will be public.
Yeah, we have to
I
make
mean,
any
we-
decisions that we make in a public meeting, and it'll be on the agenda, and we will have it out there in the open for everybody
we'll
to
be
take
back.
part. Good, no, and you should be, we're glad.
Yes, but we wanted to thank you for your concern and some of the information you've given us.
And if we weren't concerned, we'd just keep kicking the can down the road until the next group of commissioners get here and have to deal with it.
And you know, and I love that all of y'all are here. I wish you'd come every week. You know, just put it on the calendar for Council on Aging to come in and
bring in the bus.
and come in and visit with us and express your concerns and things. We like having public at the meetings.
All right.
Anyway, I wanted to thank the commissioners and everyone for your concerns.
And remember, I'm the senior commissioner here. I'm the grandma commissioner here. I fully appreciate the what we're talking about here. I mean, I'm at that age, so.
Well, you're welcome to come and join us. We have a lot of things, activities, things going on.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Then we'll close public comment and move on to administrative business. Mr. Lawfrey?
First thing I'd like to do is introduce Bill Knoll. Bill started with the county last Friday. He is the Director of Infrastructure and Construction Services, and you all know him, but I thought it'd be nice to have him here in a public meeting. I don't know if you wanted to say.
No, I just
Welcome.
like to say thanks for the opportunity and look forward to doing a lot of good projects with you.
Thank you for accepting the position.
Yes.
And now I have no reason to read the OSCE paper.
Yeah. Won't be in there this week.
We won't be in there this week. We were last week. But anyways, Mr. Knoll, you got your work cut out for you. I will give you that. And I'm sure you'll do just fine.
Yeah.
You ever need anything, you just, Mr. Lawfrey or the board, we're here for you.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other administrative business?
I met with Senator Braun yesterday, and I mentioned the, and you might be interested in this too, the stoplight, request for stoplight study at 158th and 32 Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on, I think it's the appropriations committee. He's on a
Yes.
committee that
Yeah.
handles a number of appropriations for highways. And he said if we would present a letter, draft a letter, and he would carry it to the Appropriations Committee for a highway stoplight study there. And he said that if the study found and identified that it was a safety issue, he believed then that would kick in funding for the location.
They've done some previous studies on that intersection, but I don't know how in-depth they were. Good gosh, I've been talking to the state on that since probably 2014.
Well, it's a very dangerous intersection.
Yeah, it is.
You're right.
It is. You can't see, the sight distance is limited to the east.
So if the commissioners would approve of the letter being sent for the study,
yeah,
is that? Do you need a formal vote on that, or do you?
I think that typically when we submit those, we have to have be able to show the minutes where it was voted on approved when we're asking, because the commission is actually asking for the study. So if you all,
K32
we would draft a letter and that would ask for that study to present to the KDOT, but we would need board direction.
So can I just so move?
Second?
Have a motion and a second to send a letter to, we sending it to KDOT, or are we sending it to
Senator Braun will carry it to KDOT, so I guess it could be addressed to both, Senator Braun and KDOT. However,
It'd be addressed to the Kansas Department of Transportation. Senator
copy.
Braun would like to be the delivery source. That would be fine.
Right, okay.
All right, so any further discussion and voting?
Aye.
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 Bill, I'll get with you.
All right.
Those were the administrative items that I had
Okay.
today.
So, has commissioners had a chance to look at the consent agenda? Is there any questions or concern on any items on the consent agenda?
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Voting?
Aye.
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 Okay. Now, need to consider a motion to approve contracts with Enterprise Fleet and authorize the chairman to sign. Has everyone had a chance to look over that contract?
Yes.
It was discussed in our work session.
Move to approve contracts with Enterprise Fleet and authorize the chairman to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the Enterprise Fleet contract? Voting?
Aye.
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 That motion carried, and that will also improve the fleet for Council on Aging.
Actually, the first year, I believe most of the vehicles are Council on Aging vehicles.
So you'll be riding around with stuff with the new cars now.
In style.
Okay, we are ready for planning and zoning at this time. Crystal, how are you today?
I'm well, Commissioner Smith. How are you?
So far, so good.
Perfect. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is a request to approve Resolution 2020-09. This resolution would amend our zoning and subdivision regulations to change the definition for a home occupation. We have talked about this quite a bit over the last several months in being able to allow types of uses which are not, which will not cause a negative impact to neighbors, don't have a lot of traffic and that sort of thing, for those to be allowed at the staff level. We believe that this proposed definition would capture a lot of those things, like in-home barbershops, in-home daycares that don't exceed 12 children, people who maybe hold an FFL license, that sort of thing, they are required to get special use permits currently. However, we've all agreed that sometimes that's a little bit overburdensome on those folks. So we have laid out a number of conditions that a home occupation would need to meet. It needs to be a home. It's not an additional building or anything like that. There are specific hours of operation, no more than 2 employees, no more than 12 two-way vehicular trips in a 24-hour period, things like that, things that we can use to limit the impact that it would have on the neighbors while still allowing people to operate very small home businesses. This would not be retail sales and services. While a proprietor would be able to keep stock in trade, you wouldn't come to their business in order to purchase that stuff unless it's just on an infrequent basis. Most of it would be done via mail service, that sort of thing. We do have some things that are opposed. They're not going to fall under the home occupation, like a home mechanic and such. That doesn't mean that can't be done out in the county. It's just still going to require a special use permit is all. So we're just saying that won't fall under the home occupation. Staff is recommending a fee of $100 for the permit. We do still think these should be permitted, so we have them on file in the event that, just one, to make sure that folks are doing what they say that they're doing, and we can make sure that they're falling within those parameters, and then 2, of course, if their neighbors call, and we can say, yep, they've done everything that they need to do. And then the permit would remain valid as long as they're doing what they said that they were doing. The Planning Commission voted 8-0 to recommend approval of this. Obviously, we recommend approval of this resolution. I would take any modifications that you request.
Okay. This item requires a public hearing, so we'll open up the public hearing on the resolution, or on the changes on the planning and zoning subdivision regulations. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of these changes? Anyone here wishing to speak in opposition of these changes? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and return to regular session. And I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2020-9, proposed amendment to the 2006 Leavenworth County zoning and subdivision regulations, Article 3.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
Will the fees be segregated? Will you keep documentation of exactly how much you got from this?
Yeah, of course.
That's all I wanted to know.
All our money's tracked. I hope.
Good.
Down to the penny.
Down to the penny. So, anyways, all right. Any other questions or any discussion and voting?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
And all right. Do we have any events coming up for what we did last week?
I met with Tim Smith, the Tonganoxie Township Fire Chief, and had a discussion, and he's the president of the Kansas Fire Chiefs Association.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good deal.
And he, at some point, will like to address our group on a couple of issues, including the building codes issue, and which he supports, and a couple other issues related to.
Is it something he can do in public comment, or is he going to need more time?
Well, probably in public comment. I imagine 5 minutes would be fine. But he's interested, and anyway, when we talked about how Tonganoxie Township and the county commission,
I spoke to him a little bit
together.
at the Lincoln Day dinner. Known him forever. All right, you got anything coming up or anything you've been to?
Well, just I was at that town hall.
Yeah, well, I was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the last thing I went.
I had Baser last Wednesday night, the city council, and I went to the township board meeting on Thursday night, and then Mr. Lawfrey and myself attended the fire board meeting along with Mr. Rich Meyer on Monday night, and I have Baser's got a special meeting again tonight on selling some bonds, I believe, so I'll do Baser tonight again. So.
Well,
that's it.
I got back from vacation and yesterday afternoon and then attended the city commission meeting last
Oh, you did
night.
make it. Oh,
Yes, I did.
I didn't hear you'd make it.
And I will be attending Lansing City Council meeting Thursday night. That's tomorrow night. And tonight, not certain if there's going to be a fire board trustee meeting or not, but I plan to, if it continues. It's been scheduled, but there's question as to whether or not there's sufficient number of trustee members to attend. So otherwise, I'll be at that meeting tonight at 7 p.m. at the fire station.
All right. We have any other business for us? All right, then a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All right, voting.
Aye.
Aye.